Good evening, everybody. How you doing? I'm Manny Vitale, host of My Fight Our War, and also co-host of Music and Mayhem with my brother Skylar Ray. And tonight, that's right. What is it? Tuesday.
Tuesday.
And I want to thank Adam, and who was our guest tonight, who was supposed to be on last night because usually Monday nights, but because of issues with me, Adam was nice enough to reschedule. So I appreciate that. And I'm going to give this a whirl. Our guest is Adam Boisvert.
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 Yeah. Close enough.
I'm going to try it, man, because I've been butchering it all freaking day. So I do apologize for that. But Adam's going to be popping on. As you guys know, OG's in the house doing her thing.
Mm-hmm.
So please, if you have comments, questions, or anything for any of us, definitely hit us up and we will definitely get to them. But before that, just want to let everyone know that usually the show will be, nothing's changed as far as the Monday shows. That was because issue I had to change it around. Like I said, Adam was cool enough to be able to reschedule. And so definitely appreciate that. So we're going to continue on Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m.-ish sharp.
However, and not next Monday because we'll be flying
back. That is
back.
true. Good point. Next Monday, this coming weekend, we are flying out to New York to do our shows out there. And we will be back. So Monday, we will not be live, but we will be going over things as usual. This Wednesday, please check us out on Music and Mayhem with my brother Skylar Ray, as we have a very special guest, Matt Keegan, will be coming on to talk about his music, not only his projects he's got going on, future projects, but him and Skylar just dropped a song that we'll be talking about as well. So without further ado, let's get the man himself in here. Adam, how you doing, brother?
How you doing?
Adam, again, man, I appreciate you, redoing this for us and coming on tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, I understood when OG hit me up and said you had some medical things to deal with. I'm dealing with the same thing. So like I'm getting these implants to replace what happened with medication I was on when I was seriously ill, and my glasses got ran over recently. So brand new. Man. I still got them. This is a blessing. Watch. The lenses are okay. I just need new frames.
Hey.
Happy. So I have them safe right now. Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, I was there yesterday and there was a person checking out in front of me. And you talk about the prices of some of these frames and all that.
Woo, baby.
I got transition lenses.
Yeah, but
those are
anyway, nice. Man, definitely appreciate you coming on, man, because we definitely, checking up and some of the things you got going on. You have a lot of stuff to cover here, brother. And but first of all, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what's going on.
I'm from originally from Brockton, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
I was adopted at 4 years old. My mom went through a lot of struggles, biologically mom, and she had to put me up for adoption. Growing up wasn't easy for me, and I'm actually sharing this as we're speaking, so some support. So growing up wasn't easy because I grew up with Tourette's, a form of autism, and I was picked on a lot by teachers. My adopted mom was trying to be very supportive, but it's hard growing up when the way I grew up, and I was I went through a lot of hell in school. I never fit in, never felt like I was anything. It got to the point where, I started looking for attention the wrong way. So I remember as a kid, I had a fight with my best friend who was my adopted dad because my biological dad was never there. And it was DSS at the time. It was a different initials of the alphabet. And, they put a chins on me and they sent me to a couple programs like St. Vincent's, Top East, Key program. St. Vincent's had 2 campuses in Mass. One in Westport. I was Dome 2. I was in Cottage 7. Then they sent me to Meadow Ridge, which I went there for 2 years. It was more of more of like I wouldn't say it was like jail because it was more low key than that, but it gave a little more structure than like a normal like group home.
Gotcha.
And I ended up. My mom tried everything to help me, But I remember when I was in Meadow Ridge, and this is when the anxiety hit. I had a disorder called pericarditis. It was from a medication.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to bring up the medication because not everybody goes through that particular reaction. I'm just one of those hinds that gets every bad reaction. And I remember waking up at Meadow Ridge, which was in Swansea, and I'm like, my stomach is hurting, but it don't feel right. And the nurses were yelling at me like, oh, if there ain't nothing wrong. I had to flip out and throw a chair. I didn't really think I had to do that. When they brought me to Charlton Memorial Hospital, and they said, if he does not go to Boston, he could have a heart attack. He had 2 liters of fluid around his heart.
Wow.
That's where the anxiety hit. It was around 2000. It was around September 11th. I started going in the hospital in and out from July before the towers. And I remember them thinking I had lupus. Real serious, Mm-hmm. And I remember, I'm not going to say how she did it. My mom illegally got information to find out what was really going on with me. This is what people in the hood drink. This in the pineapple.
So, Adam, when you went to that, you said it was like a group home. I'm sorry. How old did you say that was when you went there?
I was about 15.
15? Okay. Mm-hmm. And how long were you there for?
2 years. And then I went to another group home called Chamberlain with a guy from Lost in Space, Mark Goddard, worked for.
Okay. And
I remember it was in Middleborough, which I kind of don't know if it's factual, but there was books in the bottom of the school that this rich man in 1975 who started buying property all around Middleborough, right? A millionaire, wanted to give back to the community, one of the oldest programs in Mass. And I was in this basement of one of the oldest schools in Mass, and it actually said that Middleborough was actually and these old books was the actual first capital of Mass.
You find all this history going on.
And it was a Jewish school, from what I remember. And to get back in the topic, I remember a lot of good times. You want to hear the craziest thing? I was adopted. My biological sister, I used to stick up for and never knew she was my biological sister, and she was in that program with me.
No kidding. Lord. How did you find out? How'd that come
about? I found out when I found my father at 21, biological. My father, Robert, Stephen Bay, that was my brother that died, Robert. Stephen Bay was my father. And
that was at 21, you said, when you
he had paid a lot of money to find me. And I remember meeting him in New Bedford because there's a lot of Spanish, there's a lot of Portuguese, a lot of Guatemalans, Mexicans. I'm partially having different Spanishes in me. Mm-hmm. And I remember this little highway they call Guatemala Highway where all the people work in the factories. And I remember there was a bar called Wharf's Tavern where all the truck drivers would stop. And I remember my mom bringing me to see him. And my father was there, and his wife Candy was there. And I didn't like her at all. Actually, I really didn't, because she was trying to be my mother. And I know one thing: you weren't my adopted mom, and you definitely weren't my biological mom. And I remember her telling me I had a little brother that died. And I met my biological mom, but it was a very intriguing situation. My father brought us to Otis Air Force Base to try to hustle the Katrina Fund, and the first memory of me and my father was having AKs pointed at us going into Otis Air Force Base. Oof. And I didn't know anything about any of this. My mom didn't. And then they separated again. They reconnected and separated. And I ended up going to see my mom. My brother lived in the projects, D-Word. And I learned that I was living in D-Word as a kid. And I remember my mom was living in Taunton Gardens at the time. It gets a little emotional. But time, man. That's the thing. And I remember spending too much time trying to get to know a family that was never there. And a lot of things happened. I started having mixed feelings, like, as this mother that I have, that's my adopted mom, who is my hero, that fought for me. The stigma started growing on me because I started getting depressed and didn't understand why I was feeling this way. A lot of what I've been through that I grew up like going through, right? I was a very confused individual with a lot of different things with traumas and didn't understand. Being in and out of psych units, the negative attention was the biggest part of my recovery. Learning how to not be the victim as much and learn how to live and survive better in a more appropriate manner and expressing how to talk to people. Because growing up with Tourette's, as you see, I twitch. Imagine your teachers are making fun of you. Teachers. And I loved music, right? I love music. My main thing was music. And you know, a lot of people ask me, why did I get tattoos? Because I used to cut. I wanted to cover them up. And I still want to get more tats, because I started feeling a release in a different way and not so negative with tattoos. And so to fast forward it, I ended up being in a program called Top Beast. And that's when I started to get into drugs. There was a guy bringing drugs into the program to go back into it, the DSS programs. And I remember, and first there was weed. And I remember the PlayStation 2 came out. We were playing NFL, and it was an old apartment building, 12.5 Maple Street in Taunton, Mass. It was an old apartment building. They turned one side into the women, the girls, and the other side to the men. And the guy and the basement, which was where was turned into a school. But we never really did school. We sat all day. And I remember there was a leak, and I remember the guy bringing in weed and pills and all kinds of stuff. And that was my introduction to addiction.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you? How old were you when that happened, Adam?
I think that was before I got into Metarid, so I probably was 14, 13.
Oh, 14.
And I remember trying to fit in, so when I left there and they placed me into St. Vincent's Cottage 7 in Fall River, I remember seeing a lot of things I didn't understand. And I was scared. I'll be honest with you. I'd never been in a program like that. I was adopted. I went right to a family that,
I mean, heck, you said something too earlier, Adam, about how the teachers were doing this. I mean, it's bad enough. I mean, as you know, man, kids can be ruthless, man. Kids can be just freaking mean. But you said here the teachers were even turning on you.
Yeah. And during the process of being in Meadoridge, I was put in the St. Luke's had a psych unit. And when I first turned 18, I remember there being smoking rooms. Mm-hmm. They didn't have no smoking on hospitals. And it was on the 4th floor, right? And I remember being brought to Westwood Lodge. Now it's closed down. And a lot of crazy things happened over there. Like I was just got out of hospital last week, and for some reason, I have nothing going on. I'm just coughing for no reason. It's like annoying.
Man, there's a lot of stuff going on. I know you said you're a mass. We're here. I'm in Detroit, and I tell you, people are just left and right here with sinus and upper respiratory stuff. I know
a lot about Detroit and all that. One of my first child's mothers is from Saginaw, Burt, Michigan.
Oh yeah, Saginaw, Michigan, man. Mm-hmm.
But we'll get
man. But Adam, I tell you what, though, I mean, that just kind of hit me though when you were talking about these the teachers. Like I said, man, we all know how here you're turning to them for not only guidance and all that stuff in the program, but now they're giving you shit along with the kids.
Yeah. So, during my time growing up, I went through a lot. Like I was in. So here's how it was. I was in and out of respite programs after I got out of DSS. After I survived the thing, when they found out it was from that medication I was on. But I still didn't know who I was. I don't share this a lot, and a lot of people, I've been sharing it in the groups because I facilitate groups. Mm-hmm. But I was disrespected in Westwood Lodge by a female staff member and a male. And I was very confused. And I'm only sharing this to get vulnerable for my fans to understand why I'm so serious and passionate about recovery. And, during my, I was very confused. Like at one point, and I say this to uplift people who think they're alone. I thought I wanted to transition because I was confused. I didn't. And I started sharing about that. And that's why I love all people, no matter who you are, no matter what color, no matter what race, no matter what you identify at. I believe in love and beauty, and beauty has no gender. And I share this because a lot of people might relate to this because it was a confusion mindset. It wasn't like that was my path. But when you don't understand, like, so you're disrespected as a child, you go to school, right? And it sounds very ignorant, but it's not. Mm-hmm. It's different hearing a female go through it, even though it's both wrong, than if I was growing up and I said, yo, I went through this. Because in my head, yo, they call me a bitch if I spoke about this, not minding the way I'm saying it. So if I shared that I got disrespected by a man, I would be less than. And that hit me in the head for a very long time. And that's when I got into pills, like perk 30s and drinking. I didn't want nobody to know deep down inside I was hurting. And I didn't want to share how I felt. Because if I shared how I felt, you could stomp on me. And I made friends. And I wanted to fit into crowds. And I was around a lot of different musicians locally. And some people have taken advantage of me. And some, because I didn't know how to give boundaries of friends. And I was afraid to share this stuff, you know, and that's why a lot of my music is not about what other people write. And that's where the song Orphan came from. To fast forward it, Orphan was written in Pittsfield when the sheriff's department had put me in a hotel after I got out of hospital because I left a domestic violence situation where my ex and her sister were so toxic. I walked out as I'm puking blood in the bathroom because I didn't know I had problems in here. And then they put me in a hotel after I got out of the hospital, which was Berkshire Medical Center. And the lady asked me my story. And I shared my story. And I showed her a poem. And the beginning of my song, Orphan, that's on all platforms, the poem that is in it goes, does my voice matter? If I yell, would my affliction shatter? Would you see me as amazing or still see my past illusions of my eternal self, unstimulating, dark, you know, and failing tainted? Actually too stimulating, feeling shamefully embarrassing and lazy. I wish I knew what I knew now, you know, cash is grateful. Now knowing I'm beautiful and creative, handsome and intelligent, you know, promising greatness. This is because I didn't know how amazing I was. All my life, I used it as a way to target people, and I still got trust issues. So because I was disrespected, and I have friends, like I have an artist named Honeybee that's from Arizona who's transgender, who I support her 100% and she's in recovery. I support people who are great. I don't judge. And so I wrote that song called Orphan because I was watching that movie Orphan. And if you've ever watched the horror movie Orphan, she's in Russia. She's in a psych ward. She didn't feel like she fit in, so she left to come to the United States to pretend to be someone because she felt lost. I was adopted. I moved to another family. I wanted to fit in. My life seemed like a horror show, and that's where the whole basis of that song came from.
See, and that's just it, Adam. I tell you what, like you said, your music and everyone's platform is their own, and God bless them and all that. But yours, like you said, man. And that's what makes it authentic. I mean, you don't want to be like everyone else. You want to be Adam, you know, that's what you want to be. And coming from what you just said, just this little bit right here, man, I mean, you can see why it's so powerful. I mean, first and foremost to you, but you're able to get that across to other people. And like you said, people out there, they just like with addiction, man, they think they're alone. Just like what you just said about that friend of yours. She thought she was alone. You're not alone, man, because so what you're doing right here by sharing this, Adam, man, I really appreciate it because I guarantee you, people are listening, people are watching, and someone knows someone, and you're helping people. I'm not afraid to cry. So
when I share my emotions and I cry, it's because I feel for every person who didn't know how amazing they were. Mm-hmm. I got 4 years. I'm going to tell you right now, I got 4 years and June 23rd, which is my birthday, in 2020. I'm going to look up the calculator, right? 24 hours at a time. Clean time calculator online. And I do this, right? Not to brag that I got a little bit of time, no. Because 24 hours, 1 second, I could screw it all up, and many people have. It's not about that I'm better because I got time. No, it's the fact that I'm here where I'm at, and it's only because I put the work in every day. So every morning I'm at peer-to-peer, going to a meeting, and I just facilitated a group over there, and I'm starting to facilitate on Tuesdays because I love recovery. And it ain't just one way, you know. Let me calculate this. That's the wrong date. That's definitely the wrong date. That makes no sense. Oh, I was putting my birthday. Yeah, I'm 40 years old, but that's not the date. I definitely not 40 years clean. Let me do that again.
Yeah.
So I'm 4 years, 7 months, and 18 days. That means 1,694 days clean from a disease of addiction. 2 years from a psych unit.
God bless you, brother.
6 years from a cigarette. And I didn't smoke no cigarettes. I smoked gashis, no weed.
And there you go. You should be proud of that, man. You got to be proud of that because you know what? You did it. You
2
did
years
it.
in this apartment, right? 4 months living alone because people can be codependent.
Yes, you are so right.
I got my cat right here.
Uh-oh.
You know what? When you were talking, all of a sudden I saw his tail go by because I got Wonder Dog Susie as well.
Want to know how I met this cat? Someone left him in a park in a crate. And a homeless couple gave me him and said, and I just had a cat taken from me in an apartment I was living from. Someone at that recovery center took off for my cat when I was 2 years ago when I had to go to the hospital because the officer and a woman who is a very big part of my recovery, Nikki Fontaine, knew something was wrong and had sectioned me. I'm like, I'm not suicidal. I'm not addicted. Why am I here? Didn't know something serious was going on. So the whole point of what it was, I got my cat stolen. I had a black cat named Spooky that my brother gave me. And I get this cat, right? This cat's like a 30-pound black cat. And the thing, I get in the terminal, I'm like, yo, because I have seizures. And I'm like, I'm opening it up. And I'm like, yo, you know what? This cat saved me from seizures, bit my leg till I came out of it.
I'm telling you, man, animals are amazing, brother. They are amazing, man.
They know when something's wrong.
Find out my seizures might be because of a medication I was on. So I might have a future of driving. But to get back into all the other stuff, when I was I started writing music and like by doing poems. And you know, someone said, "Why don't you share your poetry more?" And I remember I was homeless in New Bedford, and a guy had a store on Acushnet Avenue, and it sold thrift store. And he's like, "Bro, you have a good message. I want you to go outside my store and sing and put a hat down." You know, and I'm that area is a bunch of like kings and all that. They were throwing dollars and weed in my back. I'm like, I don't smoke, but you know what I'm saying? They were throwing all that in me. You know, like, yo, you got a message, bro.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's crazy, you know, and a lot of what helped me in my recovery was clubhouse coalitions, like mental health clubhouses, like Townhouse, Anchor House. And if you know what those are, those mental health based programs that you go to during the day with mental illness, and they let you socialize and learn skills to become more independent. They give like a audit day where like one area they'll do the cooking for the place, and another area will help you look for jobs, gives you a purpose. Because growing up, I was told I'd do nothing.
So that whole time, man, you got all this interaction going on at all these different levels and all that stuff. When you, how old were you when, as far as the poetry and all that, when that guy said that you got that skill? How old were you there about?
With what?
When you got, when that guy told you about the skills with the poetry and you should get out there and do some singing.
That was the first time I heard it was from Mark Goddard. Because to slow it back, when I went to that program, was right after I went to a mental health camp that summer before. And I remember it like it was called Quabbing Camp. And this guy had a whole camp, but he ripped off all the staff and he made a bunch of false promises. So he got these grants and ran off. But the point is, while I was at that camp, there was a bunch of people that worked there, right? And I remember trying to run away from this camp. It was in, I don't know if it was Harwich or where. And this one of the dudes there followed me. and he wouldn't let me leave. And as he was driving his little Volkswagen, and he was following me, and he says, "I'm not gonna stop." Got me back in the car and brought me back. And then if you go further into it, when I met Mark Goddard, I remember I was in 1 Pleasant Street, which is because he bought like all the block. And the dorm I was in over there was 1 Pleasant Street. And I remember when he was playing football on Saturdays, this guy Mark Goddard, I didn't know why everybody said he was famous until like 10 years later I found out he was in the movie Lost in Space.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what position he was. He could have been the pilot, whatever. But I know he was in like Mr. Up, all that old stuff, So when I
used to watch that all the time, man.
So he was a great dude. And then find out he passed away and how much he helped people. That dude had such a good personality for someone that's known. He went out and gave, and that was one of the basis of me wanting to change too, because he didn't look at me like I had Tourette's. He didn't look like at that person that they were a gangbanger if they were a kid in that program. He looked at you and he talked to you like you were a person. And sometimes that's what someone in addiction, in recovery, mental illness, they need to be known that they're a person.
Oh, without a doubt, man. That's how, first and foremost, I don't care what it is. And you nailed it. You all right down the line. And that's what I tell people too when they come in and they start talking about their addiction, and people will judge them about what terrible people they are, but they were nice before. I go, it's the same person. It's the same person before as after. So, they just made poor decisions, things happen, but they're people, man. Just like you said, treat people, as you said too, with respect. Doesn't matter what color you are, who you are, what your social race is, or anything like that. Be respectful, man.
Yeah.
Then you hit it.
So as growing up, my mom couldn't do as much as she could do, right? She tried her best, my adopted mom. And right now it hasn't been so easy with me and her. But like Lily, she is my superhero. That, but lately, even with the 4 years, I still get stigma thrown at me. And that's what happens. Because not everybody wants to see you win.
Oh, no, there's haters, man. We know that.
And when you start to do better than they are, they're like, I wish you were the same way you used to be. Because a knowledge for a lot of things I've learned is the system loves when you need, because they can get paid off your need. So when you start not needing them, it aggravates people. So what do? And it doesn't mean everybody does this. Mm-hmm. Some people that have power will use your stigma to attack you so you can need them still.
Just like they say, man, misery loves company, and Adam, there's going to be haters all the time. And you nailed it too, man. People sit there, they want you to succeed. And then when you start to excel, you'll see who's still around.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the biggest things I've learned recently too is I didn't know how to give proper boundaries. So there were certain friendships that I could have kept if I knew how to say, you know what, I'm sorry. I don't want to lose your friendship, but I don't have it. But because I was insecure, I had no belief in myself, and I wanted to fit in. When I first started with getting connected and all this, I couldn't tell certain people, no. I couldn't tell them I can't do this right now. And you know what? I bet they would have respected that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
No, even with their insisting, you would have said, please, I can't do it. I don't want to lose your friendship. That was a big, big part of me growing up in the last 10 years.
But I'll tell you what, man, because like you said yourself, you didn't know what was going on, man. And you were pretty much thrown into this blunder by yourself. So, yeah. I mean, and I hope you're as proud of yourself as we are of you, man, because that's a lot for anyone to handle. But to be thrown in, first, I mean, like if someone that normal life, if you grow up, with your mom, dad, brothers, sisters, and all that, from Jump Street, man, you were, like you said, adopted. Then all these other things that jumped in the fray with.
And I never really shared about in a public basis of what happened with my life.
No, this is your platform. You could wait. We got.
No, I just want to tell you, Adam, you're getting a lot of love on the messages. that people are
I tell you
appreciating you
what.
telling your story, and they're sending you a lot of love.
We got King Handsome on here showing you love. Leroy Ebron in Connecticut. Tyler Thompson. All these people in here, and they're all showing you
Lori
nothing
from
but love, brother.
Alabama.
Right
You
here.
know what?
Lori
King
from
Handsome
Illinois.
is such a deep person. But that's when we met. I didn't know how to talk to him, and it's not because he was wrong or I was wrong, because I'm still learning how to properly communicate my feelings properly with and that's King Handsome got such knowledge, just like Aaron Oneida got knowledge. I grew up with him. His mother is like Aaron was locked in jail. It was COVID, right? I was in a sober house. His mother was bringing me to get food, and I offered money to get her stuff. And if you really think about how amazing that is, she's always been there. And she's always mad when me and Aaron had ups and downs because we fought like brothers for like last 10 years. I remember Aaron, me, right? This is the fun part, right? He had an incognito boost phone. We were sitting across from the courthouse in Fall River, right? And we were talking about meeting with this dude, J1, to record music, and he was talking about how much street magic meant to him. And I can never remember the street acronym, but we were talking about it. You know the flip incognito boost phones? I remember that. And I kept breaking my phones, so I didn't have one at the time. That was a big problem. I had the purple one with the keyboard from Metro. He had the Boost Mobile incognito. I remember that. And I remembered it because when you flipped it, it lit up like differently than right here. Like it looked more analogic. It was back in the day. And I remember it was just... Yeah, and he had long hair. He looked like Jesus. Swear to God, it was funny. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah, you can't lose, man. You got Jesus on your side. I tell you what, Adam, I'm just getting the pleasure of knowing him too. Aaron's going to be coming on the show as well. Looking forward to that. But that's cool.
Now
man.
He looks like the white Joe Budden with his facial hair.
He went from Jesus to that.
Yo, with his facial hair and the hat when he performs, I'm like, yo, this dude looks like the Portuguese Joe Budden. Swear to God. He's smart though. Wow. He's a very smart dude. Like,
Adam too, man. All these people out here, we're looking at it right now.
Sending you big love.
Your message, and you can tell that. I mean, it's hard, man, when you start talking personal stuff like that. So appreciate you doing that. But just so you know, you're getting a lot of love from this. I mean, everyone.
And I appreciate everybody.
They are.
I want to look at the comments,
yeah,
but I don't want to take the effect of what I'm saying.
Right.
Exactly.
You can look at them later.
Everybody on here to know.
Yep.
And there might be people that I don't.
I've been sending through there.
That's okay. They're still family.
They're going to stay on there. And just like I remember when me and you first started talking, and that just shows your heart and where you're coming from, because you told me about that. You gave me a little information that there was a little incident with you and King Handsome. And first thing you said is, how much it bothered you and this and that. And you straightened it right out. And you know what? That takes a man to do that.
Yeah,
and I know how much that meant to him. And you as well, man. And so you guys are awesome, man. I love King Handsome. That's my brother there, man. Him, Skylar Ray, and you got a lot of love here going on, Adam.
Yeah. So during the process of my recovery,
I
had a daughter. I met somebody because there was when we both had the status of her mom. Had the same status. We were going to a Seven Hills program, and her stepfather introduced us, and she was 19, going to be 20. I was a little older, and he asked me, I'm not going to say what biker crew he's from. It ain't about that. And we got very well along, but then there was some darks going on. He was dying of cancer, and I remember standing with this big, huge biker guy, right? And he's telling me I gotta pull the dialysis. And a lot of things happen, And during the process of my daughter being born, DCF was called. And I learned a lot of things happened that weren't right. Illegal stuff that they pulled. And I'm not gonna post it on here. Because being clean, someone gave me her new birth certificate and said, go get her paperwork. Stuff is wrong. I see you put in work. And your daughter's going to need you. My daughter, Ariel, my best friend of anything, right? The reason that I still fight, the reason my company started off as Final Impression, the last Final Impression has to be a good one. Let's Get Wrecked. I heard people talk about, yo, let's get wrecked, have a good time. And I said, why don't I turn it recovery based? Let's get recovery. Now I platformed your hood words. I started taking what people take negatively. Some people do. Some people like, oh, they get so homophobic. I love all people. Just want to hear that. I took place recovery in defeating evil. Like, stuff like that. Pray. Place reality ahead of yourself. Pray for people who don't know how to pray.
You're nailing it, brother. You're nailing it. In fact, you just did something. You just did. In fact, I mean, this isn't just shit. You just talk. I mean, you do it. In fact, excuse me. When we talked earlier, you were doing something tonight. Tell everybody what you had going on tonight.
Yeah, I'm sitting here right now, and I didn't get to share this, but I think I might want to share it. I was telling you, I'm at the food truck serving these homeless people, right? I had a woman that I was in love with. She had 3 teenage boys. I did everything I could. Some things happened that wasn't right where we split. I'm talking about how proud I am of how much these kids meant to me. One of those kids was in the truck the whole 17 weeks, and I didn't even know.
Oh.
I did not know this kid. I'm not going to mention his name for the safety and the protection of the mindsets of them because of reasons. But that kid was there, and he's right there. I'm like, blah, 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 son? Yeah. Literally, and I remember when I was with her, right? I met the mayor of Gardner, Mike. And I'm like downtown, right? And I'm talking. I'm like, yo, are you famous or something? He's like, I'm not just famous. I'm the new mayor. Yo, you know that dude made sure we had turkeys for Thanksgiving? That dude had my kids have all presents and for Christmas. And I know they weren't my real kids, but they meant a lot to me because I'm autistic. The littlest one was autistic. One was in and out of jail, and that's the one I saw. And the other one was breaking into cars in one of the smallest towns in Massachusetts. And things happen where things happen, and if things happen for a reason, what are you doing?
And that was,
but literally, and I seen him today, and his father had called me, his biological, before he took his life. And he told me, if you see him again, my son again, tell him to tell everybody that when you were there, all those kids were home, right? And that I love them. And he told me never to leave my phone blank from them ever needing help. Even if she never goes back with you, please do that for me. And this guy got in trouble for some stuff. I'm not mentioning what it is, for protection of the children. Mm-hmm. And he'd blow his head off that night. Oof. And those kids meant everything to me. And I remember because I remember Jackie Brown from the Icy Show. I had gotten a taxi out to Lawrence, and she gave clothes and a TV. And I just got sneakers for my birthday, the blue toes, the rare ones, the Jordans. And I gave them to the littlest one. And that's the first round of cancer I had. I didn't know that I had that. I was shaking in the house as one of their friends said he was going to punch me in the face for something that never really happened because they were so traumatized from what they call co-occurring disorders. If you learn about that in anger management and trauma, it's called co-occurring disorders. When you go through stuff and it reminds you of stuff, and then you start to get. I started learning about this stuff. So when and it was crazy because I met a guy who did medical transportation, and this guy put me in a hotel for a week off his credit card. He drove my medical transportation. And then that's how I got connected to Kelly Zwicker, who while I was in that hotel in Worcester, they had these things called fridges. And they would bring me food. And I started going to meetings at Everyday Miracles and got active in their clubhouse and started growing. I got more clean time on the streets than Mass Ave. Just think about that. No excuse. I worked on while I was on Mass Ave.
That's what it's all about, man.
The West Charles Gate Bridge in Kenmore Square, walk through Mass Ave, that big, huge fire station that doesn't do nothing for nobody, the brick one, where people are overdosing outside. Walk to Calm Ave in Brookline, work at the Dollar Tree, get a new shirt by my manager, and he would bring me to the YMCA to shower every single morning. And I was only a block from the big, huge abortion clinic where you see people praying every day in Boston. Every single day, I did that.
Yeah, you know what, Adam, you had all those negatives when you with the teachers and all that shit. And you know what? Look at the positives, man. Like you said, that guy just right there. That other one, Goddard. You know, these people that come into our lives at certain times at the right time.
Yeah, so when I got my first apartment and something help went down, and I remember I got a Section 8 voucher. I left the sober house in Pittsburgh. I got this house. Things didn't go right. Things were wrong. And I had to sleep outside. And I heard that officer and Nikki Fontaine say, trust the process. And I got this apartment here that I've been to for the whole time, right? And I remember sleeping on Mass Ave because I got kicked out of the DMH building, the Boston Medical Center. And I remember them telling me, and this is the core of it, right? I remember no matter what was told to me in recovery, no matter what, no matter if your ass falls off, you go to a meeting. No matter what, do not pick up. No matter what. So I remember housing telling me I could come home. And I remember the people. I'm not going to mention the company because what they did is not, I don't want negative. I remember getting into that apartment after 5 months and not being able to be there, right? And they left all the food in there. And my whole house was a whole 1-bedroom apartment, rabbit run full of maggots. And I couldn't stay there. And I remember getting this apartment I'm in right now. And I had nothing. I slept on a blanket and I cried and said, thank you for this chance. I didn't do nothing to deserve that. And I kept going to meetings. Kept getting active. And it hasn't been perfect. But I still remember no matter what, if I use whatever shit I'm going through could be way worse. If I pick up right now, I might not make it with all the xylazine and all these other things out there that I haven't tried yet. Keyword yet. I might not make it on the streets again with the way the storm stuff is on. And the way the violence is crazy right now, it's crazy. You ever go to Boston on Mass Ave? You got 13-year-olds sticking people up. And we were just talking about it on my show, the Let's Get Wrecked podcast show on Mondays at 1 p.m. We were just talking about it. It's serious out here. The addiction's crazy. It ain't just with adults. There ain't enough out here for the youth.
Man, I tell you what, and you're right. It's there. And the thing is with addiction don't fucking care where it is, because I'm here in Detroit. We go out to Connecticut, we go to New York and all that for the shows. And you see it everywhere. And that's one thing about addiction. You talk about not seeing boundaries. Addiction doesn't care who you are, what race you are, what your financial status is, right? Yeah, addiction and now it will kill you. And that, like you said, man, here I saw these 10, 11-year-old kids running around. They, like the old days, you get in a beef with someone, you're going to duke it out. Nowadays, you got 10, 11-year-olds, they're all pulling out Uzis, Glocks and shit, and they're just shooting up the blocks at 10, 11 years old.
Hey, you want to hear the worst part about it is? I was outside of South Station, right? A lot of those prostitutes ain't even adults.
Yeah, the kids.
You know how crazy that is? And here's the kicker. This city, New Bedford, is one of the biggest human traffic places in the whole country. New Bedford, Mass. Kids. I'm not talking about adults.
Oh, yeah.
With that. You know how gross that is?
We got kids. We got people talking about, back in the day, you would talk about recovery. And how old is it when you start talking about kids and drugs? Back when I was young, I'm 59, man. I remember they'd come into the high school. High school, shit. Then they said junior high. Junior high, you're talking grade school now, and then younger. As soon as
it's not even junior high, they're middle schools now. They took out the junior.
They asked me how old. As soon as you can understand, that's how old. As soon as you can get that comprehension of what's going on, you got to discuss it. Because if we don't discuss it, they're going to hear from someone else. And just like you said, they're going to see it on the street. And by the time something else happens, they're going to be dead. And it's up to us, just like you, to make a change.
Yeah. So while I was in Pittsfield in that hotel, because I wanted to start off as Christian artist, not forcing on nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a big fan of Brian Trejo, right? And you can find this on one of his lives. It's called Soundcheck on one of his shows. He offered me to go to this program, one of his programs that he runs. But I said, until I fix more of my stigma where I'm at and stand tall, where like literally I'm at the hospital last week and I had 104 temperature and they let me piss myself in the waiting room. They were that bad to me.
Wow.
So I will not let my past control me. So that's why I stay in New Bedford. Because you know what? My counselor said, you know what? I'll write your housing as you're there medically. They can't take it from you because it's a program. I don't have to worry about gas because I won't be here. I'll have my friend watch my cat, all kinds of stuff, right? And then I'll have a peace of mind to clear my mind. Brian Trejo, and I don't know if you know who that artist is under Kingdom Music.
Okay.
Yeah, he invited me on his podcast, and everything that dude prayed for. Me getting back in my apartment because there was some issues where I'm at, you know, and I had to go back to some struggles. It got released because, you know, whatever happens, you know, everything he prayed for but my daughter. So the main thing is I want to leave a legacy for my daughter. So no matter if she's in my custody or not, even though I know that her adoption paperwork ain't right and she moved to another state and had been to Portugal and all that stuff, I know that no matter what happens, I want her to be like, you know, he wasn't in my life, but I'm proud of him. And I want to leave her something to grow up with.
No, you're doing it, man. I tell you what, and your music and all that, I've heard from a few people that said, listening to you, that you can hear like the soul, you can hear the power coming. It's not just words coming out. It's not just words to make a song. This is, you know, well, with all the, you know, with a lot of the artists, man, like Skylar and King, all those guys, man, you sing, it's authentic because if it's not, people will find, they'll see it in a heartbeat, man. But your songs, man, that's what it does, is it catches you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. My song for my daughter, I wrote it. It's called You Belong With Me. That song is like beautiful. And that beat that I wrote that on was by Rainy Beats, a good friend of mine.
I remember, was there a song? I wonder if that's the one. I was talking to Will about that. It was, did you write one? Was it about your ma, or was that one that was about?
I have one about my mother, but one about my daughter goes. It's called. It's on all platforms.
I remember Will was telling me about that. How when he heard that, it was like
the one that he liked. I know it will not block you offline if I show a little clip of it. I already know how this song is. I pay attention because even though it's my music, there's still sometimes issues. But the song that he was talking about, because I also did a remix to 2C's favorite song for my friend who died too. But this is the song he was talking about. Not that. That's a commercial. I hate these stupid commercials. Yeah, that's kind of cool, a little ostrich. I recorded this with 5 and Below headphone set and Band Labs off a cell phone. Rainy Beats on all platforms.
Princess with a crown. Not every hero gets to thank you. Don't forget my name. You belong with me.
So basically what I said in the beginning was not every princess wears a crown. Not every hero gets a thank you. Don't forget my name. You belong with me. I hope someday that you'll be proud and then understand how much I look up to you. Don't forget my name. You belong with me. My daughter belongs with her dad.
Yep, I tell you,
and that's what I wrote it for.
And that's the impact that you are making. So you are making a difference, man. So when you get those moments, because I talked to a few artists and stuff, and they're like, man, am I getting through? Or just like anybody, you start to get that self-doubt starts creeping into our minds.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe this, maybe that. No, there ain't no maybes about it, man. What you're doing exactly what needs to be done. So, man, be proud, brother. Be proud.
Do you know if your daughters heard that song?
I don't know. I know the family found out. I knew what. So I had saved someone's life, and her mom had reached out to the family because I found out that everything that caused my stigma was connected to these two women that has my daughter. I'm not going to say any more about that.
Yeah.
But someone reached out to them, right? And they said I didn't take a chance of even trying to get the visits. Here's the kicker. In the courtroom, the paperwork was stolen. I was threatened to sign this paperwork. I spoke about it, and paperwork disappeared. So when I got the paperwork, I was sectioned outside of the DSS office in New Bedford. The main adoption guy, I was his first client. Conflict. So as I was going through all of what I was going through, all I wanted was visits. I know I don't want to pull her. That's inappropriate from there. Just visits, because I didn't get that chance. I was robbed from that. And they actually said to me, you didn't take a chance. How could I if I didn't have her paperwork? Every time I went for it, that's how I got a no trespassing to St. Luke's. They knew the security guard. The same place that let me piss myself 2 weeks ago.
Uh-oh.
Everybody was connected and I couldn't see it. So that's why I'm very passionate.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, like I said, you can tell, man, and everything you've been doing and continue to do. What do you got going on currently, man? I know you got a lot of stuff happening with events and stuff you got going on and all these different platforms. What do you got going on right now?
I have a whole new album coming out, right? It's called Pieces, Puzzle Pieces. And I got the podcast show every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On as I'm trying to build up my podcasting page, I had to rebuild everything the page brand new because I got hacked like 3 times. And it's also crazy because the algorithms like to stop people for no reason. But like I got that coming up. So later on, I'll throw in the link to my podcast page, or you can see it on my wall. I'm going to be going to peer specialist training, if anyone knows what that is. It's where you've been through it. It's more of a mental health thing. And it's basically it's a little different than a recovery coach. And when I finished that, I actually going back to school because New Bedford lost my transcripts from when I was in the programs. So I'm going for my GED because I got a scholarship for Full Sails waiting for me.
All right.
Man, I want to get my things up because I know you have to perform to be in Berklee School of Music. And I want to get all that up because that's the last part of my whole puzzle thing. Berklee School of Music. Because I want to show people that if you were adopted, if you have mental illness, if you were one that used to cut yourself, if you were one that was disrespected and you have autism, that here's the one thing about it. One thing I learned, and this was a lady in a detox in Attleboro, and the word disability, right, is the word ability. And the word disorder is the word order. And the word disease is the word ease. And the word discomfort is the word comfort. Now, you take those 3 letters, right, and I kind of keep reminding myself because it's okay not to be okay sometimes. You take the first 3 letters. What is that? That's dis. That's a self-fulfilling 3-letter word. You take that away, you get ease, order, comfort, ability. And you start to see how truly inner amazing you are. And you stop letting the past get to you, and because people ain't gonna want you to succeed. And I get a lot of wrath out here because now I know what's right. I step in the way of cops doing wrong. I had like literally, I'm not afraid. I was going to that peer-to-peer place and a guy pointed a gun at me like 6 months ago and I laughed in his face and he drove off. A Lyft driver. I'm not afraid to stick up for what's right. So that passion is what I want to use because I also go to city council to speak up on community time. And I'm teaching people, you go 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, that 3 minutes turns to 9. So I'm trying to be the voice for people. And that's why in the picture on the flyer, it shows a puzzle piece Because I went and spoke with a puzzle piece shirt on, autistic shirt, because I want to show people no matter what, the most richest person in the world is autistic. He has Asperger's, Elon Musk. Just think about that concept.
Mm-hmm.
They
There
want
are
you to
no-
feel dumb, but you're not dumb. They just don't like the fact that you think differently, and you're probably way smarter than those people, and you can go anywhere. And because you think differently, and you might not think like they understand, they think it's okay to come at you. But you know what you do? You just stand like this. I ain't letting you stop me. I'm going to go be that singer. I'm going to go be that doctor. I'm going to go be that officer that will do the right job and not what's going on now. I will go be that president. I'll go be that mayor, because a lot of people will complain. Why can't you just step up and just do it?
Oh yeah, everyone will point fingers, and everyone's gonna want. Well, you got to do it. Talk's fine, man. You come up with a plan, talk about it, great, but then there's a time you got to have action about it. And I just did a little short earlier about just using our own words, man. Because in the past, because of issues with addiction, mental health issues, and all that, people will throw words at you, man, that you're mean. You've been ugly. You've been disrespectful. You've been all this other stuff. And back then, man, a lot of these words were true.
Yeah.
But now when we use words to describe ourselves, man, we are blessed. We are loved. We are healed. We are recovered. We are all of these things. We are heroes. We are champions. That's what we need to look at. And it's okay to say that and be proud of it. Just like what you just said, what you've gone through, man. Stand up and don't just think it, say it.
There's the kicker, though. I wake up every morning because these are destroyed, not because of crack, because I never did crack. They from other medical reasons. I'm the flyest no teeth guy in New Bedford and Fall River. That's what I say.
Hey.
Don't tell me different. People like, how, like I've had a lot of relationships, maybe not the best ones, but now, like, if you take it in a different way. But like another thing I also know is in peer-to-peer, every morning we say positive affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was in that Paso Plus program in Abafola, right? And the lady looked at me and said, why don't you stop letting people make you think you're crazy, Adam? Why don't you call yourself amazing, Adam? She said, before you leave that bathroom, I want you to, she put a piece of paper like this against the wall and had me write 5 positive things. And I couldn't leave that bathroom. She had a male staff nurse stand there. And I wrote that. And then the next day she did it again. Oh, yeah, by the way, I also write to people in jail, too, to uplift them. That's another one of the things I do on my own.
See, and that's the thing, man. You do what you got to do to be the best you. And, I've had people say, well, I feel bad. It's like, that's selfish. It's not selfish, man. Because unless you feel good about yourself, just like you said, all these other people are going to see a reflection of what you think you are. You know what? When you look in that mirror, if you see that you're stupid, you're ugly, you're dumb, you don't matter, you're worthless, that's what you're going to portray. But when you look in that mirror and you say, God damn, I'm a champion. I am a warrior. I am blessed. I am loved. I'm healed. I'm recovered. Now people are going to want to be around Adam. People are going to want to be around OG and me and all these other amazing people in our family, man.
And you know what it takes all this? You know what a coupon and talking have in common?
What's that?
They're not worth anything unless you put money to it. You know what I'm saying?
No, true, yeah. Yeah.
You go to McDonald's and you got that 2 sandwiches. You still got to buy 1 sandwich to get that extra sandwich, which costs money. And I'm starting to learn all this stuff. And I've had I have a lot of fun things that have happened, right? And I've been to a lot of things. Like I used to work for the Patriots, all this great stuff, right? Like I never thought I could hold a job because I was told I couldn't.
See, that's what I mean. See what I mean? I will never. I always say, don't ever let anyone's negative words or comments affect your day, your week, your month, your year. Because the only limits we have are the limits we put on ourselves. Yes. And I said it before, man, there are no setbacks, only great comebacks waiting to happen. Yeah. And you're proof of that.
So I have nothing but love for New Bedford, even though I'm not from New Bedford. I wish I could take back a lot of what I've done. But you know what I'm going to do? Like, I'm one of those people that love my community so much that if I've shitted on you for 10 years, I'm going to have to take a little shitting on too. And it's not going to be easy. I've had to walk away I've gotten in trouble for walking away recently. Go figure. But you know something? I looked at it, right? How many times did people walk away when they should have beat my ass because I was doing wrong?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, like, I have a couple of inspiration people who've inspired me. My mother, Ann, my father, Roland, my adopted father, my brother, Chris, who I wish he could have found this before he got 40 years in jail in Colorado. That my brother Chubbs, I got love for him. I don't care what anyone thinks they know about that situation. I love you, Chubbs, and I hope someday you can see this. You know, I have other inspirations, right? Is Young Real Loud, Swerve, King Handsome is a new one, Aaron All Nighter, John Marcelino. These are the people I grew up that do music, right? Marshall Law, I went to school with, a rapper out here. You know, there's a couple of people that I met recently in taxi rides that I didn't even know that did it with musicians. I don't know how to pronounce his rap name, but he's kind of doing his thing. But like I met, you know, like my Goddard, you know, like the sheriff's department in Pittsfield, Lindsay. I don't know if I don't know if she's a sergeant now, but that woman saved my life with her and a bunch of people at the Second Chances program. And that's another thing. When they were there and they took that poem, they put my poem that's in the beginning of Orphan in a book called Outside Voices, sponsored by the Sheriff's Department and the Berkshire United Way have done it. I got a book. I wish I knew it was. It's on my page. So it went to all these museums, and it was the biggest thing in all the museums. I couldn't believe it. They had paintings, but my poem that I didn't finish, right? Saying it was in all these museums. They bought it, they paid for it, and it's still platformed on all platforms.
All right.
There you go.
Like, you know.
There you go, man. I mean, you can't help but glow and be proud of that, brother. You can't help it.
So I want to say this to anyone out there that might be watching this, that is on the street right now, that if nobody said it today, I love you on purpose. Because I remember waiting for the woman's shelter to open up, and I had to hustle because even though me and this girl didn't like each other, if we held each other, old men would throw, in the financial district, would throw 50s in there, right? And only 30 people could go in there. You can get through all that. You can get through that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did it with cancer. I did it while getting clean. I worked while there was days I didn't even eat. I was 420 pounds at one point.
Whoa.
Damn.
420 pounds.
So
I look like a Portuguese Big Pun mixed with Spanish and all that. You know, I look like because I'm Spanish. I got a little Mexican, a Colombian. I also have Cherokee, Portuguese, Brazilian, Italian. You can tell by the nose. Not Jewish, it's Italian. But you know what I'm saying? I got a whole bunch of stuff in, you know what I'm saying? But like literally, like that's but the one person that has taught me the morals the most was my mother Ann, my adopted mom. My real mom, Renee, who we just started talking. I love you too. I wish she knew. I wish I could talk to her differently because I lost a lot of time with her because some of my family members didn't like me. And you know, it's hard when you're going through mental illness and you're suicidal and you're an addict and you don't feel like you fit in already. It's a tough, and you're just trying to find your pathway in life. And then, but now it inspires me, you know, like I watched the Super Bowl and drink no caffeinated soda, right? You know, it was kind of a good game, you know. I honestly knew that the Chiefs were going to lose no matter what. If it wasn't the Lions against them, which I thought they were, and if it wasn't Washington, I knew that the Chiefs were going to win. And if you watch their season, not to get off topic, every team they beat had a losing record most of the season. If you really paid attention. And then when they played the Broncos, they lost.
No, I tell you what,
thing, right? I'm like, someone was joking with me the other day. I think they're like the Patriots. And I'm like, we didn't pay our refs. We had a ball that deflated different.
Deflated. Oh, man.
Different story.
Yeah.
That's why the two GOATs are Brady and Belichick, because Belichick has one more Super Bowl than Brady because he won 2 with the Giants. How do you think they were able to beat us in the future? They knew all the game plan.
Put together that playbook, brother. Put together the playbook.
The only man in that could beat us.
Man, I tell you, with all this going on, man, you're go back to the music because that's what's doing it right now. Is you're reaching people. I mean, do you ever think, looking back with all that stuff that you just described, with the adoption, with those, with the kids, with the teachers, with all these things, the medications, being kicked out of here, being kicked out of there, being laughed at, all this other stuff. Look where you're at. Look at the difference you're making in people's lives. I was locked
in here, and until I could learn spiritually, mentally, physically, that I didn't need a lawyer to get myself out of here. And all it took was to learn we do recover.
Yes.
We do recover.
At the end of the road, right? Right? We do recover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just for today, my thoughts will be on people who want to win and succeed and want to see me succeed. And people who believe in me. And if anyone's been to a meeting, the most spiritual words wasn't God, Buddha. It was me too.
Mm-hmm.
We do recover. My brother Skylar Ray, man, all of our words. And another thing too, man, don't give words too much power. Addiction is just a word. It's all it is, man. And addiction is not a death sentence. So don't give addiction the power it doesn't deserve. Addiction is a coward. Addiction comes at us when we're at our lowest, our weakest, and all that, man. So, you're right, man. With it's a word. Don't give it undue power, man.
So at the end of the day, who I really respect is Jelly Roll, how we got those prisoners to perform on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do all that he's doing a long time ago, right? But I really listened to him, man. You know what? It's crazy. When I lived in Worcester, I lived right down the street from Joyner, and I was at parties and didn't even know that he was around me. I didn't even know who he was until I started seeing the cinematic videos.
And you're
about abuse, about domestic violence. These are what made him what he was.
It's the things we know, the things we share,
I didn't know that. I love Worcester, though. I love Worcester. Worcester's a whole nother country, right? They took over the second spot of how many people live in Mass. It used to be Springfield. Now it's Worcester. But I love Worcester. Like Everyday Miracles, all that stuff. I remember, I loved Worcester, man. It was great. It's a great place. There's a lot of history there.
You're talking about that. With right now, man, with like I said, with your music, your platforms, I mean, you're out, taking care of all these people. And that's just the thing about you, man. With people that are dealing with mental health issues, addiction and all that, when we start to finally get a grip on it, people would, if you were just to say, hey, you know what, I got to focus just on me alone, no one would blame you, after what we've all gone through. But you look at the majority of all of us that are dealing with mental health issues or addiction, first thing we do, and we start to getting better and getting recovery and all that, is we reach out and bring people with us. We reach out and help. Because I had someone one time tell me, he goes, you know what, addicts, alcoholics, people dealing with all that shit, you're selfish, you're weak, you're this. And I was like, you know what? When you're dealing with active addiction, you're right. But when you're dealing with someone in recovery, you couldn't be more wrong, because people that don't have any issues with mental health or addiction, they got issues with personal life, work, financial. So do we, dealing with all that. But then you throw addiction on top of that. Don't tell me that we're weak, because, man, you're talking about a fraternity of warriors.
People in my recovery network, and it's going to sound very awkward. I didn't know how to take care of myself. That means I didn't know how to dress right. I didn't know how to shower right. I didn't know how to be a good father. I learned all these from the brothers in my recovery network.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to, literally, and even my friends that I grew up with, I do video footage for events because, I did the first verses. King Handsome had me drive with him a couple of spots, and I have a good eye for visual. And here's the kicker, though. I don't got the most expensive equipment right now. I'm working with pennies and I'm doing this. I got a Rebel camera and a cell phone. This cell phone shot the verses footage I did. Because you don't need the most fanciest equipment all the time. You got to know how you're using it.
Exactly.
You can have a Black Magic and an Epic Red, but if you don't know, I study videos and the angles. I watch these online, and I watch all types of stuff. I also am very into urban exploratory. Exploring with Josh taught me a lot of history that I didn't even know. Going
Learn
to all
every
these
day,
countries
man.
and stuff. He's from Rhode Island. You know,
learn that's a buddy of mine told me. He goes, man, life is beautiful. You learn something new every single day. But
yes.
we got there's still so much going on, man, and we're definitely going to be chit chatting a lot more going on in the future here. We know that already.
Yes.
But right now, man, throw up some where people could find you, your music,
can
your
find
podcast,
me
all that.
on Call of Duty Mobile, LETZGETRAC. You can find me on Twitter, LETZGETRAC. You can find me on Snapchat. Some of these pages I just started rebuilding I need to grow them up a little bit. You can find me. I have a group page and a podcast page. And the podcast page has me speaking at a recovery thing and all that. That's my podcast page. You can find me, same thing, LETZGETRAC. And you can find my music on KASHIZFLOW 508. And I also have a podcast page. Let's Get Wreck, LETZGETRAC podcast on YouTube, where there's stuff that might not be on the shows I do. Okay. And you can also inbox me if you want to have a topic you want, or you're a business that wants to sponsor, or you're someone that wants their story out at Let's Get Wreck podcast at gmail.com. Because I'm not here just for me. I'm here to help people learn how to appropriately use their voice, because it also helps me learn how to use mine better on other situations. I'm not here just for myself, because me helping other people, because I do outreach to 14 states to help human traffic victims, domestic violence victims, because a woman at PACA, Positive Action Against Chemical Addiction, Shelly, who recently passed, gave me a whole bunch of resources during the pandemic. So I outreached to Georgia, I outreached to Kentucky, and I outreached to these people. They call me. I've literally called restaurants and got homeless people food by just showing my platform. And I didn't have to pay it, because I reached out and said, yo, can you do me a solid? So if anywhere you at, you need help getting into any detoxes, I don't care where you are in the United States, call me. I will reach out to that area.
And that thing is with that, Adam, it's not bullshit. I can say that firsthand, because I remember one time I saw you posted a video. This was probably a couple of weeks ago, and I popped it up and I was watching it, and you gave a shout out to one of your boys who was looking for work as a construction worker. And you threw that out there, and you were like, so bam, you're like shouting that out there to him. So,
yes.
Again, that's just,
I didn't want to put his name to embarrass him, but I see him all the time at Pay to Pay.
Well, the thing is, that's what I mean. I mean, you're not just talking it, man. You're doing it, man. It's just, you're doing a lot of great things, man.
I started tagging all the recovery centers with my post. I might not be there, but if I put a post, I'm going to tag Everyday Miracles, Alyssa's place. Now, Alyssa's place is in Gardner, where I was living with my ex at the time out there. She died of an addiction overdose. Her mom, who I met, who did a lot to help me when I was out there, started a place in remembrance to her daughter. And that was one of my first recovery coaches worked there, and he used to get high with me in New Bedford back in the day. And so think about it. I didn't even know. There's a lot,
And too.
Not every officer is bad. Not every person who white is bad. Not every black person is bad. Not every Chinese person. Not every addict is bad. Not every homeless person is an addict. Not every addict is a homeless person. We got to show more love, and we got to, like I'm saying, there needs to be a lot more changes. And that's why if you want any ideas or you want help and certain things, I'm here for you. You need clothes, I know where to get it. You need food, I know how to help you. You need family stuff, I know how to get it all for you.
We're going to be reaching out too, man, and with a lot of your stuff. And I saw on your page a lot of that stuff that you just gave out. Go to Adam's page, man, because you'll be able to see all the different platforms to reach out and get his support him. And if you need something, he's got it posted right there, man. Hit him up. And people too better to deal with it. Who better to talk to than us? People dealing with addiction, people dealing with mental health issues who can relate to all this stuff. So, Adam, man, I tell you, man, thank you so much for all you're doing, all you've done. Your music, it touches. I mean, I know it touches you, but the way you sing it, man, you come at it with such strong feeling and emotion. You're making.
I cry in a lot of my studio sessions.
Hey, you know what? I had a director, a producer one time when I first started doing this, when doing lives. He goes, Manny, we can record this because when I get emotional when I'm doing shows. Now we froze up for a second there, but when we have issues like that, they're like, man, how come you don't record some of your stuff that way? Because when I get pissed, you're gonna know I'm pissed. When I get hurt and upset about something, I cry too, man. They're called emotions. We got them. So no, I'm not going to cut
Skylar
shit.
Ray have a cat too?
He's got a big old dog, Pound Cake.
Pound Cake.
But it was funny too, because it seems like right now, every time we got people on, it's like
There's
Pound Cake,
all the chat.
Susie, my Screaming Scott's got Jet. So we got all the dogs. So whoever's coming on next, man, bring your pets with you. Bring the family.
I also have a pug rat terrier too.
Adam, I got a question. Somebody's asking do you have your music on YouTube?
Yes, I do. I have a new song, Stigma. All platforms, including YouTube.
Danny.
And actually, Stigma is on Roblox now.
Okay. Well, they're asking about YouTube, so that's good.
Yeah, Danny, all you guys, man, check out Adam and all of his stuff, man, his platform. And those of you, there you go, bring it down a little bit. There you go. You got, there you go.
It's too bright. That's right. You can find that.
But Adam, I really appreciate you coming on. And I know some of the things, we're tough, but those are the tough ones are the stuff that people need to hear. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Yeah. And man, I tell you what, man, we'll do this again. And you know me, I pop on live here all the time. So if you're out and about doing your thing, that's another thing I'll throw at you. When you're at some of your locations doing your stuff, if you got something you want to go live for a couple, hit me up. And if I'm around, man, we'll go live for a little while at your location.
Oh, one more thing. I have a new someone who's sponsoring me. I went to go bring somebody clothes at a psych ward, the same one that helped me, right? When I got sectioned 2 years ago and I wasn't hired or anything. And the guy used to own bodegas in New Bedford Farm and all that. He sold them because he was done dealing with the people trashing them. I can't say his name, but he has the Black Magic camera and he's offering to do a lot of my videos with me and work with me and some of the people I'm working with. He has the Black Magic, the Epic Red, the drone Black Magic, a bunch of stuff. And he works with MTV.
There you go.
And I met him a while ago. I just didn't have a connection, so I wasn't talking about it. But I got nothing but respect for this dude. He has limousine company. He does weddings.
Well, there you go, man. Well, Adam, I tell you what,
he just hit me up recently. He's doing my song Release Me.
See, look at these contacts, man. So, yeah, like you said earlier, you know what? You are going to have haters. You're going to have the ones who misery loves company, but you flip that. Look where we are now, man. And as you can see, when you go back and you check out these comments, I tell you what, Adam, since we came on here, you got nothing but love coming at you, brother.
That's right.
I love all of you guys, too.
So I appreciate you, man. And you have a great night. And hit me up, like I said, with some of your events you got going on. You want to go live for a few? I'll go live with you. Let's do this. All right, man.
Perfect, right?
Well, I tell you what, brother. Thank you so much, and we'll be chit-chatting soon.
I have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
All right, now before we leave, you got any last words of wisdom for people who might be struggling right now, especially with like the mental health issues, like you said that you were kind of like just felt like you were alone and all that. If you got someone right now, anything you'd like to say to them?
If you settle for less, you get less than what you settle for.
Okay.
Pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. And this is for my daughter. I love you, Ariel.
All right.
I know she's proud of you, brother. Well, I tell you, Adam, thank you. Thank you for coming on, and we'll be talking again real soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, love you, brother. Well, there you go. There you go, man. That was Adam.
Boisvert.
Boisvert.
It's French.
So everyone that knows Adam and knows how to say his name, we're going, what the fuck is Manny saying? Because I just tore it up. What was I saying? Adam
Boisvert or whatever.
So I apologize.
Don't worry about it. Adam,
you know what? Great job, Adam. Just the things that you hear these stories coming out from everybody that comes on. And I've had people who come on, and I've said this before. They're like, you know what? I heard this story. That was about, well, look at Sunshine, man. Brenda. She was like, oh, man, I've heard all these stories. I can't tell my story. No one will want to hear mine. As soon as she started talking, she had the whole damn place crying.
Yep.
Every one of our stories matter. And I just want to thank you guys, man. Tyler, Danny, King Handsome, Lori,
Matt,
Kalisha,
Leroy,
everybody, man. Thank you
Lori,
for coming
Ian.
on.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing Adam the love and all that stuff. He was, wasn't sure what he was going to talk about, not talk about, and I told him, talk about whatever you want to talk about. But
that's his family. This family's just full of love.
I mean, that's what we're here for. Yep. So really appreciate you guys being on here with us. And do not forget, tomorrow night, we've got Music and Mayhem. Me and my brother, Skylar Ray, Music and Mayhem with our new intro, a lot of other things. And
you're going to show them? We're not sure when you're going to. So stay tuned as to what that's going to do.
That's it. That's all it does. I'm not putting anything on it, just like the way it sounds. But besides the little Wheel of Fortune wheel, we do have a lot of things going on. And a lot of that is my brother Skylar with a lot of things that he has been doing. So please check us out tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern time-ish, with my brother Skylar Ray, and the one and only Matt Keegan will be on with us. So definitely appreciate that. This is something we're going to be doing on Music and Mayhem. You never know who might be popping on. We've had Kalichi on. We've had King Handsome on. Now we got Matt Keegan on. And, of course, we got Skylar Ray on every time with me.
There you go.
So you know what?
What a party.
You don't know who's going to be on next, so keep your eye open. And, OG, you got anything?
Just for those of you in the Michigan or in New York, whatever area, be careful of the snow. We got a big storm coming, so be careful.
And to our family in New York and White Plain, New York, and in Connecticut, we will be seeing you in a few days. We're flying out. And to my brother, Coach Tony, Anthony Morrissey, and Mimi, I cannot wait to get out there and talk to you in person. They have an amazing foundation, the Brian Cody Brothers and Sisters Foundation, that I am very blessed and honored to say I'm now part of. This is going to be an event, as we have been talking about. The end of August, we are all flying out to Connecticut, to New York, and then to Connecticut. Skylar Ray, Kayla, OG, myself, King Handsome, DJ Bobby Boom, Ian, I don't know if he's going to be there, but Matt Cronin, the whole Danbury, the whole New Milford. I'm sorry, New Milford, where Coach is, and we're going to be doing some work with his foundation. I've got some information that I'm going to be talking about a lot. Coach is, I've only had the pleasure of a couple conversations with Coach, but it's one of those things, just like with a lot of the people, with Skylar, with Ian Bick, with all these guys you talk to, and it's just like instant family. And Coach is just an amazing man with a hell of a story. And like he said, he goes, I feel like I already know you just from talking to Skylar and King Handsome. I go, well, same to you. Because every time I turn around, talk to those guys, we hear about these amazing stories from you and your wife and your foundation. And like I said, when he goes, I'd like to talk to you about it. And I go, well, shit, we're in, man. If there's anything we could do. He goes, oh, well, we're having this big benefit, though. It's in August. I go, wait a minute. No, he was talking about the benefit.
Right.
And I go, wait a minute. Is it the one in August? He goes, yeah. I go, we're going to be there. He's like, what? And I go, yeah. I go, if we're something we could do, I'd be honored. That next thing you know, he goes, I've got you as a featured speaker. I was
there you go.
He goes, the mayor's going to be there. The whole town,
police chief, and
Coach, that's his town. And just to be a part of Coach's family, the Brian Cody Brothers and Sisters Foundation means everything to me. I'm very proud to be part of that, and this is just the beginning. So
many great people we're running into. It's wonderful.
This family is just growing. And again, we've said it so many times that you see the wolf behind me, and that's my boy, that's my baby. That's what created this whole thing, is that wolf pack mentality of family closeness and all that. But even though we're all family, and we all have different families and groups and organizations, we all have different names, but the bottom line is we're still one family. I mean, it says it right there: my fight, our war. Doesn't matter what your fight is, whether it's drugs, alcohol, depression, anxiety. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need a diagnosis or a title to be something that's ruining our lives. It's life, and we need to be there. Adam nailed it so many times, man. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what race you are, what sex you are, what you identify as, how rich you are, poor you are, whatever it is. We're part of the same race, and that's called the human race.
There you go.
And please, when you use those words, use them carefully, because when you're ripping on somebody and you're using those words, you're mean, you're disgusting, you're worthless, you're ugly. Think about how terrible and how powerful those words are, because I remember being called a lot of those words when I was back in my time, my issues, and it didn't bother me. That's how screwed up and that's how strong addiction can get a hold of you. You don't care being called that. Now, when you hear those words, it makes me want to just, yeah. But so now spin that around, look at that same mirror, that same person. I am blessed. I am loved. I am strong. I am recovered. I am worthy. I am a champion.
Amen.
And that's what we all are. That's what you guys are. So look out, Connecticut. Look out to our friends and to our friends in White Plain, New York. I'm coming. So that means, first of all, Detroit Metro Airport. I might as well get ready for my little pat down.
As you're going through
every time I go through there, as you guys know that follow me and all that, I've had numerous shoulder surgeries with hardware all throughout my body, screws, plates, everything. Every time I go through, they go, "Excuse me, you have to step aside. The detector located something in your groin." Really?
The one place.
Well, thank you. It's like shit. But so we're coming, and that happened with Skyler. But where he was, they got him a coffee. I didn't even get a coffee.
No.
But as he said, we are both now TSA approved.
Exactly.
So you guys, oh boy, here we go. You got to stop talking.
Save your voice. You got a long weekend.
How's that shoulder doing? Well, Danny, you know what? It's actually doing really good. I think I'm going to have a discussion with my doctors and change my plan up a little bit. The doctors have their plan. Well, I've got mine as well. So instead of another surgery in about 6 weeks, well, we'll discuss that as we go, because I'm walking in there with my plan. So
we'll save it for the docs.
Yeah, we'll save it. What I should do is go live. Yeah, that'll be interesting. But Danny, you give Katie and the kids a big old hug, and everyone else, man, really appreciate you coming on with me and us and Adam. And what an incredible story, that all he's gone through, and the stigma that goes along with
Tourette's,
a lot of the things. Well, Tourette's, addiction, mental health issues, and it just goes to show you, man, when someone tells you you can't, just like I said, man, if you can dream it, you could do it. So you guys have a great day. Have a great night. Have a great tomorrow. For those of us in the track of this snow little system that's coming our way. They're talking supposedly
up to 7 inches,
5 to 7 inches here where we are, Detroit.
That's a little bit of
as
snow.
I said, we're flying off to who knows what we're going into, but you guys be safe, and we will see you tomorrow night with my brother Skylar Ray and Matt Keegan.
There you go.
At 7 p.m. ish on Music and Mayhem. So until then, I love you guys. Keep fighting the good fight.
Good night.
We can lose my voice again.